Hey everyone, I'm Fernanda, and today I'm going to be doing a challenge that I've already done before, which is the Drawing in Different Art Styles challenge. Last time I did 5 art styles, but this time I'm going to be doing 10 of them. Well, technically I did 9 of them, but I'm counting my art style. This was a lot of fun, and so hopefully you enjoy. But before we get started, I just want to thank you guys so much for the support on my last video. I really didn't expect it to do that well, but I am so beyond grateful. I love you guys! Okay, but now let's actually get started. So in my last Drawing in Different Art Styles video, I had drawn Melanie, but for this one, I'm going to be drawing Daphne because she's my favorite right now, and I've been having a lot of fun drawing her. A lot of the art styles in this video are ones that have been huge inspirations to me throughout my art journey, and so hopefully you guys enjoy me rambling about my trips down memory lane. Also, here's a bit of context behind Daphne for those of you who don't know her. She's my OC who ends up passing away and is trying to figure out how she died. Although in this video, I'm drawing her while she was alive. I also realized that I had never done a proper full body drawing of Daphne, and so I decided to do that for this video for a better comparison. The second art style I'm doing is Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Out of all the art styles I do in this video, this is one of the most recent ones that has inspired me. I had actually never read any of the Scott Pilgrim comics or watched the movie before watching the show, but I have heard of Scott Pilgrim before, and so I decided to watch the anime because I was really intrigued and loved the art and animation for it. I do wish I had at least watched the movie before watching Takes Off though. I feel like it would have made a bit more sense to me, but I still enjoyed it either way. And I am planning on reading the comics one of these days. I just remember seeing the movie after Takes Off and being shocked that Scott had actually won against Matthew Patel. It was after I finished the movie that I had realized that Takes Off was the original Scott Pilgrim story if it had gone the other way, and that it definitely would have been nice to know that before watching the show. It was still enjoyable regardless. I had really loved the art style for it so much that I had actually attempted to replicate it before in 2023. I drew my OCs Nova and Melanie, and now that I'm looking at it again, I can't say for sure if I replicated it exactly, but I don't think it looks too bad and I still really like it. So it was a lot of fun revisiting this art style 2 years later. While drawing Daphne, I used Envy as a big reference since I feel like they had very similar vibes. I did have to simplify her hair a bit though, since I don't think her swirly hair would have been something you see in Scott Pilgrim. I could be wrong though. I still think she turned out really good, and I think she looks so pretty. The third art style I'm doing, I'd say is a pretty niche one, and it's the Five Nights at Freddy's high school art style. If you don't know what Five Nights at Freddy's high school is, then let me enlighten you on peak. Oh my gosh. FNAF High School was a Spanish fan-made series created by Edo-chan in 2016, which followed the characters from Five Nights at Freddy's in a high school setting. This series has had quite the art style changes throughout the years, but I'm going to be replicating the earlier art style since it's the one I'm most fond of. I was obsessed with this series when I was younger. I was a huge Five Nights at Freddy's fan, and so I loved consuming any media on it. I remember going on YouTube and just searching up Mango cause she was my favorite, and coming across a video called El Reto de Mangle y los Toys. And once I finished that video, I was hooked. This series was my everything and such a big inspiration for me. It even introduced me to my first doomed yaoi. I'm kidding. Not really though, cause I don't think they ever got together. Anyways though, I would try to replicate Edo-chan's art style and would even draw over the bases some people would do, and oh my god, they're so embarrassing. But I was just a really cringy kid who was having fun. I would try to get all my friends to watch it, but the series was in Spanish, which some of them didn't really understand, and to my friends that did know Spanish, they considered it pretty childish and cringe. But it was cringe, so I continued watching it. The series isn't perfect by all means since it was made by one person, but at the time it was perfect to me. Me and my sister would even stay up late at night on our grandma's flip phone re-watching the series. It was actually thanks to Five Nights at Freddy's high school that I even got into anime, so we can thank it for that. As time went on, the series started incorporating songs into each episode, which were sometimes covers of anime openings, and you know I had these songs on repeat. Sadly though, the series did end up getting cancelled if I'm correct. I don't know the exact reason for its cancellation, but I'm pretty sure it had to do with the multiple controversies some of the voice actors were in. But I won't be getting into that in this video, but still thought that it was important enough to mention. At the time it was cancelled, I had stopped keeping up with it. I was leaving my Five Nights at Freddy's phase, getting into new fandoms, and so although I was pretty sad, it didn't hit me as hard as I thought it would. That part of me was now part of the past. Until a remake was made. This remake wasn't made by the original creator and instead by Liz Mochuk and Connie CH, who took the series and slowly started remaking it into its own thing. The inner child in me became immediately hooked just as I did back in 2016. Things are amazing. The animation was amazing, the plot was becoming even more interesting as episodes were coming, and then it got cancelled too! Oh my gosh, I was so sad. This one hit hard. This series is cursed. Now for this one, I actually don't know as much as to why it got cancelled. From what I've seen, I think one of the creators was focusing on school and didn't have time for it anymore, but I'm honestly not as sure. Either way, you guys should still go check it out because it was actually really good. And so yeah, I had a lot of fun replicating this art style. 9-year-old me would be very proud of myself. Okay, for this fourth art style, I'm going more into adult animation territory with Penny and Stocking with Garter Belt, specifically the new season. I won't be going into much detail with this one for obvious reasons, but Penny and Stocking is a comedy anime that is intended for mature audiences about two angels who are banished for not being the best and purest angels, I guess you could say. I really didn't think we would ever get a second season since it had been like 15 years since the first one came out, but boy was I proven wrong. And although I'm sure that Penny and Stocking might not be everyone's cup of tea, I still really love the art style. I just think it's so cool and so unique compared to other animes. It really stands out. I love the vibrant colors, I love how sharp the line art is, and it was actually the line art where I struggled the most. I really wanted to get it as similar as possible, and so I actually tried making a brush similar to it. I don't know if I got it exactly the same, but I think it gets the job done. And I'm not caught up to the second season yet. I think I'm like 4 or 5 episodes in. But something I realized is that all the characters in this season have the bottom of their hair dyed. Or maybe it's just for a gradient look and not meant to be taken as dyed. Either way, I really like this detail and had to apply it on Daphne. Something else I realized is that characters with bangs have a shadow above their eyes. I'm not sure if Daphne falls into this category exactly since her bangs only cover one of her eyes, but I still really wanted to do it because it just felt like such a cool detail. I was also debating if I should try doing the art style that's used during their transformations, but I decided against it and just stuck with the original art style since I thought it'd be easier, and I don't know if I'd be able to replicate the details on the transformation style. That's on a whole other level. The next art style I decided to do is a series I haven't seen in a while but that I absolutely loved, and that's Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated. I had only watched a few episodes of the original Scooby Doo series when I was younger, but I wasn't really all that into it since it followed more of a Monster of the Week formula instead of an ongoing plot. I did really love the live action movies though, and still rewatch them at times. However, nothing had me at the edge of my seat like Mystery Incorporated did. The plot was so interesting, and of course, I loved the art style for it. The ongoing plot definitely made it more interesting to me, but I also loved how much mature this series was compared to the original series. Also, I don't mean mature like as in inappropriate. I mean it's mature because there were things at stake and handled topics that most teens could relate to, like having relationship struggles. It was because of that I really enjoyed this series. It didn't feel too childish, but also knew when to be goofy. I was also a really big Daphne x Freddy fan, and so it was nice to see a Scooby-Doo adaptation that went more into that, even though it was complicated at times. It was fun revisiting this series after some time. While looking up references to use, I would stumble across scenes and characters I had forgotten about, which was a great help when it came to adapting Daphne into the style. I was pretty worried if I would be able to adapt her swirly hair into this, but then I found a character called Janet Nettle, who has a hairstyle really similar to Daphne's, and so I felt okay keeping her swirls. I feel like a really iconic part of this art style is definitely the eyes. They're simple, but I feel like they work really great. I had a lot of fun trying this art style, and I think I was able to get it pretty similar to the original, but I do think that I made Daphne look a bit too old. I'm not sure if it's just the art style or if it's just me, but you guys let me know. Gosh, now I really want to rewatch this series. The next art style is another one that's definitely taking me down memory lane, and that's Dork Diaries. Yep, I was a Dork Diaries kid. I honestly loved any book with drawings in it, like Diary of the Wimpy Kid, Sisters, and of course, Dork Diaries. The books were meant to represent the main character Nikki Maxwell's diary she received from her mom that shares the events that go on in Nikki's life. I loved these books so much and would always rent them out from my school's library. And of course, I would try to replicate the author Rachel Renee Russell's art style. There were times when I wouldn't even read the book, I would just rent it out to look at the pictures. For Daphne, I used Mackenzie as my main reference since they're really similar characters. Not just in looks, but in personality. They're both mean girls, but I definitely think that Mackenzie's a bit meaner than Daphne. This girl would do whatever it takes to ruin Nikki's life. Spread rumors, try to take her crush Brandon, and even hit her with a dodgeball hard enough to knock her out. I actually think they become friends in later books though. I'm not too sure though. The last book I read was Tales from a Not So Happily Ever After. Anyways, Rachel's art style has of course evolved as time has gone by, and it's very noticeable throughout her books. In her earlier styles, characters would have their necks, arms, and legs colored in black with mitten-looking hands, while in her more recent style, it's all just white now with more detailed hands. I decided to go with her earlier art style since it's the one I'm most familiar with. I was very tempted to do the art style used in Mackenzie's book though. I was obsessed with it. She's such a diva. But I decided to remain faithful to Nikki and use hers instead. I had so much fun doing this art style. It was fun looking back at it, and it was definitely one of the easier ones to color since, well, it's just black and white. I didn't do Daphne's swirly hair though, since I didn't think it matched the style very much, and so I just stuck with wavy hair. I really love how this one turned out. She's slaying. The 7th art style I'm doing is from one of my all-time favorite franchises, Monster High. Guys, I love Monster High so much you have no idea. It's not something I really talk about on here, and I actually wasn't going to do it since the art style looked really complicated to me. But this series is so dear to me, I had to at least try. I have been a Monster High fan since like 2013. I was obsessed with the webisodes and movies. My favorite movies were Ghouls Rule, Haunted, and Boo York Boo York. They were all so good, and I even still listen to all the songs from Boo York Boo York. They're so good. My favorite character is Cleo. I love her sassy attitude and thought her and Deuce were really cute together. So you can imagine how I felt when Sorry It's Over started playing. It's okay though cause they got back together. Anyways, Monster High has gone through quite the changes as time went on. There have been 2 reboots after the first generation, and although I'm a big Monster High fan, I actually haven't seen either one of the 2 reboots. I did watch the first live action movie though, and it was okay. It wasn't horrible, but it didn't really make me eager to watch the second movie. The song Coming Out of the Dark slaps though. G3 interested me more than G2 since all the characters were given new designs and stories. I may not like all of them, but there are certain changes that I love, like its inclusivity, and I actually really like the art style they used for the series. I think it's very cute. I haven't watched the series, but maybe I'll do it one day. G1 will just always be my favorite generation, and so I had to do that one. Monster High's art style is really unique and stylized during this time, and so I was struggling a bit for this one, but that was to be expected. I was really tempted to make her into a monster though. In my mind, I always imagined Daphne as a Gorgon. I don't really know why, I've just always seen her that way. But I also wanted to make her into a ghost for obvious reasons. But if I were to have done that, I would have liked to draw her in her cheerleading uniform. In the end, I decided to draw her as a ghost, but it might not be super noticeable since I did draw her with the clothes she wears while she was alive. I'm really proud of myself for this one though. I'm not sure if I got the hair shading exactly correct though. I referenced Claudine's hair for this, but I couldn't understand the shading, and so I kept it pretty minimal. Either way, I'm really happy with the results. The 8th art style I'm doing doesn't really have a name, or at least I don't think it does since it doesn't come from a series or anything. Instead, it's more based off an era, and that's early 2000s scene/emo. Like I said, I'm not sure if this has a name to it, but I remember loving this art style. It was so unique and I really liked the aesthetic of it. I was pretty young when this art style was trending, but I was still a really big fan of it. Looking for references of this style was kind of hard though since I couldn't tell which drawings had been made recently and which ones were actually from that time. I tried my best though and mainly based my drawing specifically from Demise Man on DeviantArt. Their art is just so amazing. This style is very scratchy and gives off the vibes of traditional art. I don't think I really nailed that part though. I wish I would have used a more pixelated brush and maybe made it thinner, but it is what it is. I also realized while looking up references that none of them had curly or wavy hair. I know it's because many of the characters shown in this style have seen hair, but I still wanted to incorporate Daphne's front swirl since I think it's a pretty iconic part of her design, and I feel like it wouldn't have looked like her without it since I wasn't able to draw her with her curly hair. I had decided to keep the rest of her hair straight in order to stay true to the style. I'm not sure if I was able to replicate this one exactly, but I tried my best and I feel like you can still get what I was going for. The dead, lifeless eyes definitely give it away. I feel like Ghost Daphne would have definitely looked cool in this art style. Maybe I'll do it another time. The 9th art style I decided to do was Friday Night Funkin. I really love Friday Night Funkin's art style. That's actually the reason why I became interested in the game in the first place. I love how cartoonish and silly it looks, and so I really wanted to try it out. I've actually started getting back into the game now that the mobile version came out, and so it made me want to watch some videos on it again. Specifically the Cub Scouts, cause he's hilarious. I'm not the best at rhythm games, but I love playing them regardless. Friday Night Funkin' was the first rhythm game I played on my computer and I was struggling. I remember having acrylic nails on and it made it really hard for me to hit the correct keys. Or who knows, maybe I was just really bad at it. Either way, I still had a lot of fun playing it. It was actually kind of hard deciding what to use as a reference though, since the character designs in this game are actually pretty diverse and vary for each character. Some characters appear really short while others have more details and are taller. I ended up using Girlfriend as a main reference since I feel like she's one of the most recognizable girls in the game. This art style was pretty easy to do and I really loved replicating it. I think I may have referenced Girlfriend a bit too much though, but either way, I still really like how she turned out. And for the 10th and final art style, I'm doing kind of a part 2 to the first video I did trying to draw in different art styles. And that's My Little Pony Equestria Girls. Unlike in my last video where I drew Melanie as a pony, for this one I decided to keep Daphne the same by drawing her in the Equestria Girls art style. I remember being really excited for the first movie and I even tried learning the cafeteria song dance. I ended up falling and hurting my knee though, so I never tried it again. Regardless, I really loved this movie and was obsessed with the concept of the main six having human forms. Now that I look back on it though, it's kind of weird that they were in a high school setting even though most of the characters were adults. It was probably to make it more marketable though, since a lot of the My Little Pony audience were kids. And I mean, it worked because I was obsessed. I had only watched the first 3 movies that came out though. I'm pretty sure that Equestria Girls has like a mini series to it, but I never watched those. I had stopped keeping up with My Little Pony around that time. I still love it though. When it came to adapting Daphne to this style, I actually struggled with the hair more than anything. I couldn't figure out how to make her hair work, but in the end I ended up really liking it. I mainly referenced Caden's hair to help me out. And usually Daphne wears short boots, but all the girls in the series have long boots, and so I decided to do the same for her because without them she looked kind of off. And I did try giving her the unnatural skin tone that the other characters have, but she just looked really weird. I'm not sure if I had just picked a bad color, but I really didn't like how she looked. And so I just kept her original skin color, which I think still works. Side note, but if Daphne was a pony, I think she'd be a unicorn. I don't really have a reason for it, I just think it'd suit her. And that's all the styles I tried. I loved doing this challenge again. I just think it's such a fun exercise to do, so if you're interested in trying it, definitely go for it. And hopefully you guys enjoyed me rambling about my experiences with each of these series. I tried talking more in this video since someone commented saying that they watch my videos while they draw, which made me so freaking happy to hear because I personally love watching those type of videos and love that I'm able to be that person for someone else. And so hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I hope you have a great day.